Welcome to the mansion and John's retirement dinner. It's a beautiful room. It's going to be a great evening. The bar's open. The hors d'oeuvres are being served. Help yourself.
It's about time, and it's great.
Hi, John. Yes.
How old?
And Fred's daughter is my neighbor 2 blocks away now.
That's right. Oh, it's she.
I understand that's a great.
Fred said to me that
Don't want to get right to the camera.
And your family? Okay. I got another granddaughter. Congratulations.
Good luck, John. I wish you well. Best of happiness. Come and visit sometime.
Smaller home or nothing? What are you thinking about it? Mostly being willing. Take care.
Retirement and garage slop still back at 619.
Original word. That's good.
Original, anyway. Good luck. Best of luck in all seriousness.
I feel like we've known each other almost forever. Just wanted to wish the best to you and your family in retirement. And please stay in touch and remember the good old days. Take care, John.
Hello, John. I wanted to wish you good luck on your retirement. I guess now you'll have plenty of time to babysit for your grandchildren. I know you had a lot of experience with children, taking care of your own. When your daughter Susan was babysitting for my daughter, you had to come over and bail her out once. So you'll be well prepared for handling the grandchildren. Good luck.
John, I don't know. We've known each other for a long time. We've become close friends. Now that we've become close friends, you're retiring. I don't believe this, John, but we will meet in Paris, at a gas turbine conference or something, and we'll do the town.
I'm done with that.
No, he's not done with Paris. All the best, John. Health forever.
I don't know what's happening here. I'm frozen.
Say something nice for John.
Wow. This is amazing. It's hard to be in front of a professional like this, you know?
I know. I was speechless earlier.
Yeah.
I'm here enjoying myself. In honor of John Siemietkowski, it's great to be here. I'm glad I could be it. He was a great person to be with. Spent a lot of time with him. Thank you and best of luck, John. Wish you the best and good health.
John, we're all happy to be here tonight. Absolutely.
Getting ready to move. Yeah, it was very nice. I never had a chance to see any of it.
Good luck. I can't believe you can. Good luck. Hey, where's the deceased?
Hi, Walt. How you doing?
Doing great.
I recognize you behind that camera.
Wait a minute. Come on. Man, say something.
Where's the deceased?
We can grab a seat. We're sitting,
Sitting at the head table, we have our honored guest, Mr. John Siemietkowski. Seated to John's left, his lovely wife, Mary Ann. And to John's right is his daughter, Susan. Seated next to Susan is Mary Ann. And next to John's daughter, Mary Ann, is his son-in-law, Carrie. And next to Carrie, we have Major John Siemietkowski, John's son. And next to John's son, we have his daughter, Michelle. And seated next to Michelle is John's sister-in-law, Rita. And to Rita's right is none other than John's mother-in-law and father-in-law, Tony and Rita Ostapovich. I'd like to call upon Larry Slack.
Heavenly Father, bless the food that we are about to receive and share in this celebration of John's retirement from government service, which I believe is in the order of 37 or 38 years. And for the work that he did, the majority of that career in gas turbines and gas turbine support systems, and brought him to the point where they are now. Bless his family, who he's surrounded with, and those that aren't here, his daughter-in-law and his grandchildren. Bless them. Bless all his friends and fellow retirees who are here, and all those that wish they were fellow retirees. And most important, bless Mary Ann and John in this retirement venture and adventure. May they be healthy, may they be happy, may they discover new things with one another and with the world. Good luck, Schwaged. Stolat.
And tonight, Dad and everyone here, we would just like to toast you and wish you luck in retirement, lots of health and good wishes, and Godspeed. Na zdrowie.
I made my comment. The question is, why did they not sit here? Because of me, you, and you. It wasn't her. What was that? Why did they not sit here? Because of you, right. And me. Why did the other people not show up? It's the big question. Now, if you wanted to say something, you could. Good luck, John. He's the only one that says thanks, George.
Good job, good job. We get paid lots of money to do that.
Great job, Joe.
Hello, John. Enjoying your dinner so far.
John.
Food's been great.
John, you look really good sticking out at the top of that limousine. I just want to let you know that I will vote for you if you decide to run.
You can talk if you want to.
Oh, okay, John.
Does our voice go through there? Sure does. It does. Well, what do you want to know? I mean, we're here tonight to celebrate. This special break. I don't remember. Oh, we're here to celebrate John.
When does the Pope show up, John?
John, have a wonderful retirement.
I don't know. I talked to him on the phone about 2 months ago, and I asked him when the last time you saw him. I saw him.
10 years?
I believe it. But when he called me,
Godspeed, John. Yeah,
Congratulations, Johnny. Best of luck, John. Walt, you're doing a good job. Congratulations, John.
Congratulations, Simo.
Absolutely.
Best of luck, Simo.
Best of luck as we barge down.
See you in France.
Come to breakfast.
This breakfast sounds like fun, man. If Anita tells me all about it.
I was going to say to you, Bernie does. Congratulations, John. This morning.
congratulations, John. Happy retirement.
No questions. Everybody understands that. He has no questions, John. See what happens in retirement? He has no questions. It's because I don't answer them.
That was you guys. Joe, what is this guy over here? Like,
There goes Tyler.
howdy.
Bye, John. John, bye.
Bye, John. Have fun.
John, congratulations. Nice. Since our presentation.
Get on my good buddy here, Jack. Hey, Walter. Get one of you, my Jack.
I wanted to do something obscene.
Oh, John. Supper. Be supper. You gotta do it.
I didn't say anything about something. That's not what she said. That's the only time that Rico, Sam, and George will be in the country at the same
All right.
Only something.
Yeah, you kiss her. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, you kiss her.
Give me a kiss. Come on, give me a kiss.
You asked for it, didn't you? Don't be embarrassed. I'm not embarrassed.
I can't. I have no control over you anymore.
Right, you're done.
Well, I
I'm
really
going to a team liner. Did you hear? Oh, yeah. He's his favorite people. That's all. That's all. I don't think so.
The 214 makers this tomorrow. The 2 acting 13.
two acting. Yeah, that was great. I go on the books.
Tonight we are honoring John Siemietkowski for 38 years of service to the government. I have known John all of those 38 years. At my retirement ceremony, I spoke about John and the friendship that we had when I started, and we go back a long time. John has had an excellent career he should be very proud of. In addition to that, I've always admired John and Mary Ann for raising such a beautiful family. I had the good fortune of having John as one of my branch heads, and I remember that John became a branch head when I became the department head of the Machinery Systems Department, and he was given the task of the LSD 41, but I would like to say that I always felt that John did an excellent job, and I commend him for it. He always was very conscientious, always took the job seriously, always tried to do the best he could, and I'm proud to have been his director.
For those of you who don't know, the LSD-41, by the way, was a diesel, not a gas turbine. I've known John for 28 years. I was 38. Coming over here tonight, I was reflecting a little bit over what a week it's been. OJ was acquitted. The Holy Father arrived in New Jersey, and John Siemietkowski retired. For some of you, the first two events may have been important, but for John and his family, I think this is just every bit as important. For the past 28 years, I've known John as a special friend. He's a professional in every sense of the word. I think all of you that have been around John know that not only is he a skilled manager, a true professional, but he's a people person. I've seen him at events similar to these. I've seen him at events that were sad. And in all cases, like I said, John was a people person. I had the opportunity on numerous occasions, as things were down. And I can say one thing about John, he was always there to help. I think about 2 years ago, I had the opportunity to travel with John up to Canada. Dan Grogan, Walt Ankowitz, and myself and John. And we spent a week up in Halifax. And during that time, I got to know John on a special basis. So John, I just wanted to say, it's your night. Enjoy your retirement. You're proud of your family, and enjoy. I do have a small, if you come up to the podium at this time, it's a special something for John.
Sure. Feel like it's Christmas. This is where I'm showing my age now. It says, retirement opens the door to a whole new world of enjoyment, adventure, and happiness. May it bring you everything you are looking forward to. Congratulations. Johnny O. It's a clock. It's a clock which says Mayflower, 1620, Pilgrim Fathers. It's actually the Mayflower inside a glass bottle. That is absolutely beautiful. That is just beautiful. Johnny O.
I've been in my current position only for about 3 years, so I didn't really get to know all the history about John and all that I've heard from Dan and Fred and a lot of the people that work with John and his development of the gas turbine program. So I'll address what I know about John as a manager and a leader. I kind of view John as the transition leader. His management style was developed in NAVSES, what I guess some of us younger guys refer to as the good old boy days. And a lot of us maybe didn't agree with that style, to be quite frank about it. But John transitioned. And it wasn't a transition that Pete Manseri brought upon. It was a transition that already had taken form when I got there. John really embraced some of the TQL philosophy and generally wanted to change and generally did change to empower his people. And I thought that was the really first positive step in the organization that had been taken, that managers could change. In program management, John was the same. He saw the need to transition. NAVSES, you know, I looked through a lot of the old things that were done in the direct fleet support back in the 70s and early 80s. John saw that emerging into the ISE role. And he created quite an organization and probably one of the premier ISEA programs at NAVSES in gas turbines. I also always believe that management learns from management. I've learned from many people I've worked for, and especially from many people that have worked for and with me. So from John, what I learned was patience. I'm always wanting to push forward, solve it immediately. John taught me to take a step back. Take a step back from the situation, look at it the next day. Maybe it'll look different to you. Always look at the big picture. So I've moved forward in learning from John. Hopefully he's learned a little bit from me too, that maybe he's learned that persuasiveness and persistence, and at times my arrogance are not always unprofessional, but just traits that sometimes managers have to go through. I also hope that he learned that respect for an individual is earned by the competence of that individual and not where they sit in the organizational structure. And thirdly, I hope he learned that you come to work and you can laugh and laugh at yourself. In a few minutes, we're going to get to see how good he is at that. John, the leader, has ingrained an interesting philosophy in the people of the gas turbine group. I spoke to him about this maybe a month or two ago as John was closing out his career. And I said, you know, your people don't view this as a job. They view this as a career. Their daily work activities seem to be ingrained into their lives. And I'll give some evidence of that, and I can't mention everybody, but I'll talk about a few people that John worked for John and John molded. Tom Priori took on the responsibility of an additional section. He didn't ask for more money. He didn't ask for additional responsibility. He took on the challenge. He made the changes, and he viewed it as an opportunity. I've seen Mark Calabrese at 5 o'clock at night get a question on a gas turbine, a piece of equipment he wasn't familiar with. He took the time to get the information back out. Time wasn't a factor. The fact that it was Friday afternoon wasn't a factor. I've seen Dennis Russum leave on a flight to Norfolk on Friday afternoon to solve a gas turbine generator problem. Dennis took it in stride. I know he's got small children at home, and I'm sure he had something planned for the weekend, but he went and did it. I've seen Al Oswald and Mike Mangano travel to the Middle East on short notice. None of these people complained. All right, Oswald did complain excessively. But the point I'm trying to make is this was an ingrained culture in John's group, that you went the extra yard, this became part of your life and part of your job. And John left this culture behind, and this culture will remain. This is the thing that I think John will leave behind to the organization. The culture of the organization and the way its people react. I'd also like to take some time now to thank the people that organize this luncheon. So often they go unnoticed. I'd like to thank the person that picked the location tonight. That would be John Siemietkowski. I'd like to thank the person who organized the guest list. That would be John Siemietkowski. I like the person who would mail and develop the invitations. That would be John Siemietkowski. The person who selected the menu, John Siemietkowski. The person who organized tonight's seating arrangements, John Siemietkowski. The person who selected and purchased the farewell gifts, John Siemietkowski. Tonight you sit at NAVC's first turnkey farewell dinner, planned, designed, and installed by the recipient. The only thing John didn't do is collect the money, simply because Shirley and Tom would not let him pose the 50% gift tax that he The other thing that was interesting I thought about this dinner was the date. It was like a secret. Nobody knew the exact date. I did, however, 2 days before it was actually announced, know the date by the flood of travel orders for 5 and 6 October coming across my desk. Before I close, I want to acknowledge the people from NAVC tonight. Hopefully they've paid for the task of eating their meals and not committed to funding it in the third quarter. And also they were able to eat dinner and join us without USI or ERA present. That's very internal and I'm sure enjoyable. John, in all sincerity, we would like to thank you for 38 years of government service. And I would personally like to thank you for the management style that you brought to the organization and the portion of the organization that you leave behind called the Gas Turbine Group, that you leave for Bill Valentine. You've left in good order, moving forward with people dedicated to careers, and for that we thank you.
I'm speaking tonight for the branch, for the 40-some, 48 people that have worked for John at least the last 8 years. John took over, there were 22 of us in the gas turbine branch. We were small. We had a core of really sharp people, and John built on that. We grew to 50 people, added 2 sections, eventually added a program manager. John created a lot of opportunity for us. I personally benefited from it. Don Hoffman, Tom Bodman, Murray. It's been great. He worked with us side by side, and when we had a real nice success, he would celebrate with us, and then turn around and say, "Don't rest on your laurels. What's your next goal?" He chided us to do better, and we did. John, you are our mentor, you were our leader, but most of all, you are our friend, and we appreciate that. We will move on, even though you're gone. because you instilled that in us. We will go ahead and do a better job because John Siemietkowski was there. Thank you, John. This is a retirement certificate, Carter Rock Division Naval Surface Warfare Center, presented to John S. Siemietkowski, whose retirement is effective after 38 years of federal service. Again.
I think it's a lot easier to sit there and have people say nice things about you than to stand up here and start to talk. But I think right now that's my job, so I'll try to carry out that job. But as I sat listening to the nice things that people said, and thinking about what 38 years means, I feel like the mosquito at a nudist colony. I don't know where to begin. It took a while for Tony to get that. Started to sink in now, Tony. I'll go slower, Tony. But I guess the best place to begin is at the beginning. And for me, that was July 24th of 1957, where this green, inexperienced, wet behind the ears, immature kid left Building 501, walked up Broad Street into NBTL. Now, some of you out there will probably say, well, he's still green, inexperienced, and mature, but just 38 years later. So. But that was an experience that first day. And if I reflect back on where I am today, tonight, with all of you, I've had a great career. I really have. I've had a lot of ups and I've had a lot of downs, mostly ups, because of people like you working with you. I've had some unique experiences. One of my unique experiences I had back in the early stages was I was one of the first people to be laid off from NBTL. Back in 1959, they had one of their first layoffs, reduction in force, and all the student trainees were gotten rid of. Luckily, I left on Friday and got a job starting back on Monday in the shipyard, so I really didn't lose any money. And if I did lose any money, it wouldn't be that much anyway, because as Tom said, I made $2,986 a year. So it wasn't a lot of money at that time. When I came back working for an individual who unfortunately is not here yet, but he will be here. Who many, including me, referred to him as Mr. Gas Turbine, and that was Gene Weiner. I worked for Gene starting in 1963 until I became the branch head when Gene retired in 1986. And in that 23-year time span, I learned an awful lot from Gene. One of the things I was totally appreciative of is that Gene was just on the groundswell, the very beginning of marine gas turbines. And I was there at the very beginning with him. And we started testing gas turbines together. And there are people here who go back to that time period. Dan Groden is one of them from NAFC. And I did learn a lot from Gene. And he was my supervisor, he was my mentor, and he was my friend. And I really appreciate everything he did for me. And I hope he's here. One thing I did not learn from Gene is how to tell time, I guess. And how to come to a meeting. But anyway, I learned a lot of other things from Gene. Eileen, please tell Gene I'm just joking. Okay? This is Gene's wife, Eileen Weiner. Lovely, lovely lady. Gene left the branch in 1986, and I became the branch head. And I was the branch head until last Friday when I left. And that's basically, I guess, what I want to say about me. You know, I don't want to tell any more stories about me because they're probably boring. What I would rather talk about is what I think is much more interesting. And that's all of you, because I find you fascinating. A lot of you out there had a great deal to do with my professional growth. And I depend on a great many of you to help me along the way and give me a lot of support. One of those people who helped me tremendously is here tonight. I'd like to have Joe Barron stand up. Fred mentioned LSD 41. Back in 1980, I was temporarily detailed from my job in the gas turbine branch. And I was put in charge of the construction phase of the LSD 41 project, and that lasted 3 years. LSD 41 was a fairly complex, fairly sophisticated, it was really complex, really sophisticated, very difficult program. And there was a lot of stress coming down from our sponsors in Washington. And I was experiencing a lot of stress during that time frame. And I guess people saw that stress. And one day, Joe came into my office. And he said, John, he said, and I hope you remember this, Joe. But he said, John, he said, the guys on the floor know that you're going through a lot. And we want you to know that we're behind you. And whatever we can do, we'll do it. Just tell us. Don't worry about job order numbers. Don't worry about charges. Don't worry about funding. We'll help you out because we want you to succeed. So, Joe, I thank you for you and all the people who you represented during that time frame, because you gave me a lot of support and a lot of extra motivation. So, I thank you. I also want to thank some other people. I thanked Gene Weinert already, but I want to thank other people. I want to thank some of my bosses that I had. And luckily, they're all here. Bill Boylan is here. Gene Weinert, who unfortunately isn't here right now. Fred Grassi and Gil Carlin. Gil's my boss also. And they all taught me different things, and I all learned from each one of them. But there's one thing in particular I'd like to highlight that I learned from one of them, and that was Gil. Gil Carlin taught me, if he taught me anything, he taught me one thing, and that was how to drink a good martini. Gil, I don't know if you remember this, but back in the mid-1960s, Gil and I were working out at the Naval Amphibious Base in Coronado, California. And after our day was over, we went to that grand old lady, the Hotel del Coronado. And we went down to the lounge, and I forget what I ordered, something very nonchalant. But Gil ordered a martini, shaken, not stirred, very dry with an olive, just like James Bond. And I looked at it and I said, geez, that looks good. And Gil said, take a sip. So I took a sip. And I've been drinking them. In fact, I had 3 of them. Trying to get courage to come up here and talk. So, Gil, I thank you for that.
You're welcome, John. I thought you were going to talk about the body shop, so I'm good.
Gil's right. When we rented a car from Davis, we had a slight accident, and we went to the body shop. We got the fender repaired. Do you really want me to tell them about the body shop?
I can't remember it, John.
Now, I've saved my last boss's thanks for fittingly my last boss, and that's Pete Manceri. And I'll be kind to him, because he was kind to me. Relatively speaking, he was kind. But if people look at Pete or talk to him or get involved with him in any way, they may think he's very rough and very gruff. But that's a perception, and perceptions aren't always reality. When Pete came to the machinery department back in '92 when they rotated directors, a lot of people said that Pete and I would be at loggerheads with each other because Pete's a hardhead, and some people have said that I'm a hardhead. But I'm really not. Right, guys? I'm really not. And Pete and I think, got along famously. We both had mutual respect for one another. The thing that I learned about Pete is that he was always very fair. He was always very understanding. And something that Pete alluded to is that he was willing to change his mind if someone came up with a better idea. So Pete, I thank you for the time that we spent together. You said you learned from me, and I've also learned from you, and I appreciate that. I'd like to thank a lot of other people. I'd like to thank the group that's back there. I think they're the finest engineers and technicians in the Navy. They represent the best. So thank you guys and girls for giving me all the support that you gave me over the years that you worked with me. I also want to point in that direction. Where you heard that voice, which is otherwise known as Mr. Oswald's voice. They're just a super group of people. They really are. And I can only echo what Pete said. They didn't know what time of day it was. All they knew, the job was either done or not done. If it was done, they went home. If it wasn't done, they didn't go home. And that's the mark, I think, of a true professional. And I want to thank all of you. I want to thank a guy like Jack McKelvey, who used to always joke and kid with me about voting Democrat or voting Republican. But he's a super individual. And Jimmy, you have a lot to be proud of with your dad. And all you people out there, the two guys from the shop who taught me a lot. They taught this green, inexperienced kid quite a bit, John Deeney and Paul Quinn. So I thank you for all the help you gave me. I want to thank especially the people from Washington who came up here. Dan Grogan, John Hartranft, Sam Shepard. I know it's not easy driving up this distance, especially in this kind of weather, but I appreciate that. And if anyone would get an award for the second longest distance to come, it would be Chris Walhelm from San Diego. Chris, I thank you. Appreciate that. The reason I said Chris would get the second award for the longest distance is my son gets the first award because he came from Paris yesterday for this party. If I've missed anyone thanking you, I apologize. But if you can just individually think that you've helped me somewhere along the way in my career, you know I'm appreciative of you. Now I'm really saving my best thanks for last, and that's to my family. I want to start out with my in-laws, Mary and Tony Ostapovich. Mom and Dad, you've been with me now for 37 years. And I love you, and I've loved you for all those 37 years. Dad, I thank you for all the painting you did for me down the shore. Mom, I thank you for all the pea soup you made for me. My mother-in-law could go in the catering business. She just makes excellent pea soup, excellent vegetable soup. And what I would like to do is have you all give them a round of applause because their last wedding anniversary, they were married 56 years. My sister-in-law, Rita. Rita, thank you. You've always been there whenever I needed you. A lot of times before I would need a haircut, and she would always drop everything and give me a haircut. So Rita, thank you for that. My children, John, Susan, Marianne, and Shelley, Michelle. Thank you for being you. Thank you for everything you've done throughout your careers. Thank you for loving me as much as you do, because you know how much I love you. Carrie, my son-in-law. Thank you for entering our family, and thank you for being such a wonderful, wonderful husband to our daughter, Marianne. Missy, you're not here. That's John's wife. She's staying in Paris with my two grandchildren. But Missy, I'm facing you in the camera right now, and I want to thank you for marrying my son, John. Because if you didn't marry John, I would not have Grace and Claire, two gorgeous, gorgeous granddaughters. So I thank you, honey. I love you. I like to end, I like to end this, not end it, but I like to. Mary Ann said, don't you dare say something, so I won't say it, because she'll beat me up. But anyway, I've saved my last thanks for the woman who is my confidant, my very, very best friend, who represents the world to me, and that's my wife, Mary Ann. Before I conclude, I just want to also welcome aboard my replacement, Bill Valentine. Bill's a unique individual. He looks like he just graduated from college. But he has a lot of talent, very articulate person, and he's going to be a tremendous asset to this turbine branch. So Bill, welcome aboard. Thanks. I'd like to conclude my brief remarks by talking about something that we're all familiar with, because we've all worked in the Navy, or for the Navy, or been in the Navy, and that's ships. Now, you all know that there are good ships and there are bad ships. But by far, the best ships are friendships. And that's what we have with each other. We have those friendships that have been so evident tonight as we all stood inside the cocktail lounge and talked and had a few drinks. By the camaraderie we all share when we meet each other at different occasions. And I cherish those friendships that I have with each one of you. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for those friendships. So my parting words are thank you, God bless you, and good night. You didn't think I was finished, did you? I just want to say one final thing. Typically at a function like this, when the guest of honor says whatever he's going to say, his remarks, everyone gets up and claps like you all have done, wishes him well, and they leave. I'd like to change that. I talked about friendships and camaraderie and being together. So for the next hour, you're my guests. The bar's open, it's complimentary, drinks are on me. What I'd like you to do is go back into the bar, have a few drinks, talk some old war stories, tell some jokes, and just be together and have some of that friendship that we talked about.
Sure, you don't have to go to work tomorrow.